Good morning, fellow YouTubers, fellow painters. Today I'm going to be doing a cookbook spread, or 2 pages of a cookbook with my tomato recipes. And the cookbook that I'm creating is, I had started a couple of years ago on Arches papers, and I did a beef barley post, which got like 100 viewers, so that was exciting. But it was a really fun spread. It took me like an hour, and I've been wanting to get back to it. So now I'm back to it, and I have, what I'm hoping to do is create a cookbook for each of my daughters, and they don't know that I'm on YouTube, so there's no danger of them seeing their Christmas present before Christmas. But I originally was going to do it on just individual pages and then have them scan them and use one of the cookbook companies online. There are millions of them that will create a cookbook for you, or an Apple book or whatever. But then I thought, I've got these beautiful sketch books that I think, gosh, I can't remember who they're from. I'll when I'm painting, I'll show you the book that I'm using. But I have a couple of beautiful sketchbooks that I think are the perfect size for this, and they're really good paper quality. The only thing that I'm afraid about in doing the cookbook in a watercolor sketchbook is how I'm going to make sure, because it's a cookbook, that it's going to get wet in the kitchen if they're using it. So do I like laminate it when I'm done, or do I spray a fixative on it? I'm not quite sure, but I do know that I want to do it in these books. So I'm going to start, and then at some point before Christmas, I'll figure out the answer of how it will make it a little more durable for use maybe in the kitchen, you know, if they use it in the kitchen, and just make it so that it's not, if you touch it, you ruin the painting. So, but the book is so perfect, so I'm going to kind of do it and see how it goes. So I hope you join me. If you hit the subscribe button, I'm hoping to every Wednesday between now and Christmas do a recipe entry. And if you hit the like button, it helps me to get more shares. And that's helpful because then more people will see my painting channel. So also, if you are a painter, a watercolor painter, and you have any suggestions for how to make the sketchbook a little more durable, whether it be fixative or contact paper, which sounds kind of weird, but if you have any ideas or anything that you can share with us about how to make the sketchbook less absorbent, that would be wonderful. You can link it in the comment below, post a comment below, and I would really appreciate it. So I'm really excited about this. I'm glad you're here to join me, and let's get painting. All right, hello. So I've got, this is my Etcher sketchbook that I was talking about. It actually has 50 pages. So what I decided to do was separate out my cookbook into, it was going to be like month by month, but what I did is have spring, well, it starts with winter because it's a Christmas gift, winter, spring, summer, and then fall. So it's really neat because the outside of this is canvas, and there was an Emma LaFave video that I watched some time ago where she painted the outside of that. I believe she primed it with a watercolor, something that helps it stick. I'll have to look it up. A Daniel Smith, some kind of a primer. If I can find that, I'll link the video below, because Emma LaFave is amazing. She is, I believe, in Canada, and she's a great watercolor teacher, and she just does some interesting things like that. So I may end up painting the cover at the end. I mean, I probably will end up painting the cover at the end. But I've got a set of paints that I'm using today are my Sennelier paints, and it's something that I bought, a kit that I bought years ago for a class that I took with Dreama Tola Perry, who does these really cool videos traveling through Paris and all kinds of neat stuff. I've done lots of online classes for watercolor. I think I years ago I did a couple in-person ones, but most of the stuff that I've learned has been online. So YouTube is a great reference for teachers that can teach you how to kind of just there are so many weird things about watercolor. So onward and forward. So this is my spread for the end of August. And so it's my end of summer pages. So I flipped forward, I labeled December, did I start in December? Winter? I'm not sure. December, January, February. Yes. And then I started spring, March, April, May, and then June, July, and August. I have 4 pages each for each month. And then September, October, November, or October, November, December are fall, September. And they each have 4 pages. So for this day's recipe, I did, I went on Pinterest and I was looking at clip art for different tomatoes. And so I put together a folder on Pinterest, and I'll share that on a separate video where I kind of saved each of the clip arts that I thought were useful. And so I've got some tomatoes. I didn't do any cucumbers. I should have, but I think I can do a cucumber without a reference. And the tomatoes, I've painted them in oils for years, and I'm not going to use a reference. I'm just going to use the sketch that I did. And so what I did is just kind of a cute little layout. I did tomatoes here, and then cucumbers, cherry tomatoes, and then this is the From the Garden page with gazpacho, bruschetta, tomato juice. And then these are the stepping stones, and this is where the recipe's going to go. The recipes are going to go for gazpacho, tomato juice, and bruschetta. But what we're going to do today is paint. And then I am going to do the pen afterwards. I do it one of 2 ways. I love microns because they are waterproof. And so when I do any type of sketching, I use these. There are other pens that work. I've tried a couple of them and they didn't seem to be as foolproof as this. This, I have never, knock on wood, had it run on me. So these are great pens. They come in all different sizes. So today I'm going to paint first and micron later. Sometimes I do it in the other direction. And I think what I'd like to do is I kind of want this to have, a nice little, I love wet on wet with watercolor. And these are supposed to be stepping stools through my garden. And then these are supposed to be garden beds. And when I fill them in, we've got the fence post here. And then we're going to do it's looking down on it. So we'll do this stone and this, but I kind of want some dreamy watercolor, floaty colors behind it before I do the detailed painting. And when I sketched this, I sketched it lightly with pencil. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wet the whole thing because I want there to be pretty cloud looking areas of soft color behind the more detailed stuff. And I did not tape this down. I should have, because doing this will probably make it buckle a little bit. But I'm a new painter and I'm gonna I'm not a new painter. I've been painting oils for 15 years now, but I'm a new watercolor painter. So I'm gonna make my mistakes probably live in front of you, which may make it more relatable, or it may be super annoying for people who are good at this and watching me and going, oh my gosh, don't do that. Oh my gosh, don't do that. So I'm going to let this, I really soaked this. I'm gonna make it sure I don't want it totally pooling. Kind of rub it in. And I think what I've learned a little bit is that this kind of, I think there's sizing on these pages. I could be wrong. And the water kind of makes it ready, the paper ready to accept the color. And again, I want some kind of floaty, airy things, airy areas behind this. And then I'm gonna get out my blow dryer and blow dry it, or run downstairs and get another cup of coffee, turn the camera off and let it dry. I'm not sure yet, but I love wet on wet paint color effects from watercolor, because I find that those are the hardest effects to get, like with oil. So I have my spray bottle here. I'm going to wet this again. And let's see, the background color. This is going to be like a green around the stepping stones. These are supposed to be garden beds with fruits and vegetables in them. And I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep them a solid because the recipes are, I'm not going to detail paint the garden beds in here because it'll take away from the writing that's in there. But I will, these are going to be more detailed, but it's supposed to be like a garden area. So I think I'm going to do some greens behind here. And I probably shouldn't have done the tomatoes because the green will go into that, and that's kind of could be a darker value than the background. So I'm just gonna kind of dab these where I don't want the water to go, because I should have painted around them. So we'll see if that's gonna work. Just kind of lightly dab this. I don't care if it goes on the leaves, but I really don't want it where things are red, because the background is gonna be, here we go. The background, what I'm gonna throw into the back is gonna be, I was thinking like a bluish green, you know, one that's a little more and then I think I might throw some yellow in there for like sunlight, kind of. And this bluish green, I'm gonna add a little purple, always kind of, maybe a little magenta in this one. Kind of softens the green a little. So I think I'll start with just a little bit of yellow. That might not be, let me see if this is wet enough, because it's supposed to, if it's nice and wet, I'm gonna wet it a little bit again, kind of run around the paper. I want it a little more wet. Oops, got it in my tomato again. Okay, so let's start with a little yellow. I also did this side, so we don't want to avoid this side. We'll do same thing that we're doing here over here, so that it, you know, there's a little continuity. It can go in there. This is also going to dry lighter, not darker. So the yellow you know, some of it may not be super noticeable. Okay, so we're gonna do this. And I'm gonna throw some of it in the garden bed. Throw some of it in the garden bed. A little bit here. A little bit here. Okay, then we're gonna do a little bit of green. Right even. Let's see how my grandson Mason and I sometimes even just like dotted it. But let's do this first. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop. And I don't know, this could be hideous, this could be pretty. We'll see. And now the darkest one. Can actually be. Do a little bit over here. And now a lot of people finish with splattering. I get that. I just didn't want to. I thought that maybe this could be a little more what I'm looking for. And if it's too pronounced, you can kind of go like this. Might be a little late on that to help it run a little bit. But I'm kind of liking that look. I think we need a little bit of dark up here in the corner. And a little bit more in here. Kind of dip this in here. Let me see. That might be a little too dark. Let's see. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. Now this, dry this up a little, or soak it up a little. Maybe run it around the page a little. Because these I don't want on my tomatoes. They're gonna look like bugs. That's okay. All right. It's a little marbly, I guess. Kind of like it, actually. It's not terrible. The gazpacho. Rub that in a little. Huh. You know, I thought I wouldn't like it, but I think I do like it. Adds a nice little ethereal background. And what I might do is dry this and tape it down so that it's a little more, okay, this is gonna be a garden bed. Let's see, I'm just gonna go like this. And then I'm gonna do some darker areas here in the walkways. Wet on wet, which is fine. This is maybe a little more green. We're gonna want in here, not so blue. This is in between my stepping stones. I do want to start, you know, the basis of this green, and it doesn't have to be, I like it to be a little non-specific. And another potential mistake, I probably should have taped this off around the edges. It gives it a nice finished look. So I think the next time I do a recipe, you will see it taped off. Let's get the little around the garden beds filled in like this. That has the walkway, and we do want to go around the bottom here. You know, very loose, not, might want to add, you don't have to go with, you know, the same color everywhere. It's nice to drop in a little bit different. Give your eye a break from like a monotonous one color floating everywhere. And some grass back here because it goes all the way around the beds like this. Boop. Okay. Yeah. I don't hate it. Do some dark behind here. And I think this, let's see, how are we going to soak that up? We're going to go like this. Nope. I could tilt my book and it should run down. There we go. Good. Good, good. Whoop. Let's see. Okay, what are we going to do next? I think I'm going to let this dry for a bit. I don't really see, well, maybe I should do one more layer. Let's see, maybe a bit more. Do I want to do a little darker or a little greener? Maybe a little greener and darker. How about that? Do a little bit. Drag this up and around here. Maybe a little bit of this. My little tomatoes. I forgot about my cherry tomatoes, but we want like the green leaves behind there. Boop. Might be getting too dry. Let's see. I'm just gonna drop it in the really wet areas. Okay. All right. Maybe under, kind of mist under this cucumber. Don't want it to be like a, you know, hard stop anywhere with this. Okay, and here, where I kind of messed up and got it in the tomatoes. Now, you don't want to do this a lot because if you know a little bit about watercolor, not a ton, but if you scrub it out too much, you could end up lifting up your paper. So sometimes I'll like that kind of wet where you want the color to come off with clean water. Almost, you can see it lifting. This is nice. This Arches is a very good sketchbook. I asked for it for my birthday from, I believe my oldest daughter got me this. And look at that. What's really nice is if you get it soon enough, like that hard line that was there, I think if I were a seasoned watercolor painter, I probably, there's my grandfather clock. I probably wouldn't have done this, but you can like lightly scrub it, go like this. You can see it kind of lifting off as you put the water down and let it sit, and then kind of scrub it off. Here's another one. You can also dab it, which will kind of work. I have found, I might just leave it, and they might look like natural splotches when we're done. Might not, but we'll see. Okay, this I'm gonna kind of wet this, scrub it off a little, let it sit for a minute. Some colors lift better than others. I have learned that. Some are very staining, some are not. And now what's kind of cool is when this is almost dry, but not quite dry, you can put little drops of water in and it will remove the water. It'll give you these cool little, sometimes you don't want these, sometimes you do. It gives you these little splotch marks, which I think add a nice touch. Little ones, they kind of grow out, and it removes some of the paint in kind of a cute little pattern. Let's see. It's almost like what salt does. Gives you a little bloom, which I think is kind of neat. Random shapes in here. That I'm going to leave like that. I'm pretty much liking everything. These are my stepping stones, so it doesn't matter if there are dark splotches in there. These are my stepping stones. The tomato juice looks a little empty, but you have to leave. It is better to leave white in your painting in spots. So I don't want to completely obliterate the whole thing there. I do want to get some of this green out of this tomato because this is one of my big, let's see, first we'll wipe it, see if we can, oh, see, that's nice. That's lifting that really nicely without lifting the paper up. So there we go. I'm going to leave that white there too, I think, instead of going all the way to the edge or off of the edge there. So let's let this dry for a little bit, and we'll come back, and I'll probably, I don't know, I'm not going to tape it down. Maybe I will tape it down. I may tape it down, I may not tape it down when we come back. We're going to take a 5-minute break, or I'm going to take a 5-minute break, and then I will get back on here and we will finish this up. Going to, let's see, I'm going to mix up a little bit of red here. I've got some white in there. I'm going to mix up some red in here, and I have my existing yellow here, which, oh, I had some blue in there. That's a nightmare. That's going to add a yucky color to that. So let's get that out of there. And get that out of there. And then just do some yellow and red here. So use a bigger brush, some clean water, get some of that red. I'm going to mix up a decent sized puddle. Now we're going to put some yellow in it to make it a really nice orange. I like that. That's a nice tomato orange. This is a nice darker red. Let's see, add a little bit of this. There we go. So we've got a lighter tomato color and a darker tomato color. And I'm going to use, let me see, a smaller brush to do this. What I'm learning is, and there are also a lot of good videos on this that I am not ready to produce, but I'm still learning from, is it's all about how much water or pigment is on your brush. Water control is everything with, oh, yeah, no, that's okay. I'm going to darken this a little bit. And, you know, that's a lot of water on there. I'm going to leave it and let it dry because I'm going to do another layer. But I'd like a little more pigment on there. So I think if you wipe the water out of your brush and then you can go get a little more pigment and a little less water. I wanted it a little drier to do these nice little round shapes. And then I want to drop a really dark red into there. Let's see. And just kind of add a little shadow around here. And we're going to take it, fix that. There. And you can kind of drag it in if you have. That's going to give you a little shadow on the bottom of your tomato. Now we're going to do this, which